Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back and thank you for being very prompt. Right, into our last stage now where we've got 4 more speakers, then a panel, and then we will wrap up. So I would like to introduce our first speaker for the last session on the role of sustainability standards in supporting sustainable smart cities from UL Standards and Engagement. And this is Caitlin, if I'm correct, Donofrio, Sustainability Program Portfolio Manager at UL Standards and Engagement. Caitlin, over to you.
Oh, I will, don't worry. Thanks, Peter. And this is the clicker. Hello, everyone. As Peter's mentioned, I am Caitlin Donofrio, the Sustainability Standards Program Manager with UL Standards and Engagement. And today I'm going to present to you specifically how sustainability standards on the product type level can support a sustainable smart city. So first, what is UL Standards and Engagement? We are a standards development organization. Our first standard was published in 1903 on tin-clad fire doors. We have over 1,700 published standards and guidance documents with 400 technical committees and with more than 4,000 volunteer technical committee members. We have over 150 staff in 8 countries. So why do we, as a standards development organization, do what we do? Our standards provide safety and sustainability requirements of various products and systems. These requirements provide appropriate safety and marking instructions. And the sustainability-specific requirements address life cycle of products, circularity, and end-of-life management. UL Standards and Engagement is an accredited standards development organization for US, Canada, and Mexico, which we also participate and contribute to the international work of IEC and ISO. Before I go into highlighting a few of our sustainability standards, I want to provide a little bit of background on the development of our newest standards program for sustainability. So UL Standards and Engagement discovered a need to have a separate sustainability program. We had many, well, we do still have many industry programs that had sustainability standards kind of spread throughout. So with especially the launch of the UN SDGs, UL Standards Engagement decided to have a separate industry program just in regards to managing our sustainability standards. That's where I come in. Basically, there we go. With this launch of this program at the end of 2022, with me stepping into this role in January 2023, decided to see what is the best roadmap. We have many different standards in many different areas in sustainability, but strategically, what is the best area that UL Standards and Engagement can provide the best support? So with using the UN, the 17 UN Sustainability Development Goals as the foundation of this program and highlighting where to proceed and where to have our biggest focus is, yes, this is a lot of information on this slide, but the main objective is using the 17 Sustainability Development Goals we used as a foundation to roadmap where this program should focus on, and went through multiple different filtration criteria and came out with 8 priority sustainability type standards that my program will focus on, that currently is, and will focus on in the next 18 months to 3 years. So with part of that, the research that we provided was in white space mapping and sustainability standards, looking at momentums and trends and impacts of these different trends that we can have from a safety and sustainability perspective as an SDO. And then looking where we could leverage our current UL standards portfolio. So we currently have multiple standards that support in clean energy, which is SDG 7, responsible consumption and production, which is SDG 12, and sustainable cities and communities, which is SDG 11. So we have many product type standards that support these SDGs. So where can we utilize the sustainability program and create more sustainable requirements within those current products. So hence the role of standards for a sustainable smart city. So I broke it down into 3 pillars. So looking at sustainability and software standards support in 3 pillars of circular economy and sustainability, that's pillar number 1, specifically in areas of resource efficiency, waste minimization, designing for sustainability. Pillar 2 around building for resilience with designing and testing these products and systems for climate change events. So think of, you have a lot of PV and wind turbines that support a smart city, and these different weather climate change events affecting the product's performance. So that could be detrimental on an energy side of providing the energy to those sustainable smart cities. And pillar 3 is on safety. So we are a safety company, so I had to, of course, include safety, but I want to look at it more of the lens of data security and reliability and interconnection of those software type products and ensuring that they operate safely. So with each of these pillars, really support the longevity of a smart city, in my opinion, which I will go in starting with pillar number 1 for circular economy. But first, for most of you, if you don't know what circular economy is the practice of keeping products and materials in use for as long as possible while minimizing the sourcing of new materials. This concept of circular economy utilizes a closed-loop material system versus a linear, traditional disposable system of materials. So why do we need standards in circular economy? Standards aid in establishing a measurement method to help quantify the actual circularity of a product or site, which I'm going to dive into. My first standard that I want to highlight today is UL 3600, which is the standard for measuring and reporting circular economy aspects of products, sites, and organizations. This standard first became a need for UL Standards and Engagement to start drafting in 2019, which we formed a technical committee and started bi-weekly and weekly meetings. Yes, it did happen during COVID, so it did delay it a little bit. But the first standard was published in January 2023. With that publication, right away, that's when I started establishing that roadmap I mentioned earlier, is this standard really did provide a good backbone and a direction for where this program should focus on is circular economy. We started quickly working on the 2nd edition most of last year and most of this year, and is currently actually just sent to our publication team and should be published in the next couple weeks. With that 2nd edition, we further developed LCA metrics and further aligned the definitions with ISO circular economy standards that were just published earlier this year. But overall, UL 3600 covers the methods and metrics for measuring aspects of the circular economy, and it generates a report of these measurements. In that report, you can provide the transparency type label. Within that label, it does break down a lot of the LCA metrics, so with the impact of energy impact, water impact, air quality, and the material flows, so the technical and biogenic material flows of that product. So overall, UL 3600 measures what's coming into the product, the inflows, and what's coming out of the product. So to maintain a circular economy in that closed loop system, you want to maintain as much of those materials within that system and have as little waste as possible. So overall, this standard provides a report that the organization would have as a QR code or something on their website. And what the vision is to have the label, just the circularity percentage just thrown on a product, or you could also measure the manufacturing or any kind of facility site, and not have a good, better, best. It's just providing transparency. Is going to, for example, a toy store and you're looking at the product plus its packaging, and the product is, for example, 34% circular. You could scan that QR code and it will break down much of like a nutritional food label that would break down calories, sodium, fat, And this would break down, for example, like recycled content and everything else that went into that product and what was diverted and what that product scored the most on. What this label does, in my opinion, provide the most is that transparency for other organizations to learn off of. Is not, oh, look at me, I'm a gold star. It's, here we are, this is my product. If it's 10% circular, great. If it's 90% circular, that's awesome. But it's just providing that transparency and looking to encourage organizations to say, hey, this is my methodologies for making this product this much circular. How can we learn off each other? Maybe they want to see how someone else is doing in recycled plastics, for example. So it's just really trying to be better and having that transparency of the organizations to report on how they're doing this and how they're measuring it. So how does 3600 support a smart city? So in my opinion, it's providing, ensuring that resource efficiency and minimizing the waste of these products that you want on your shelves. And you want to prolong the life of the materials and allow consumers to make the smart choice of purchasing sustainable products through this type of label. So this standard is not for hazardous material. This is only for non-hazardous material. So I did want to go into my next segue, into my next standard is UL 3601. We identified a need for this standard actually through that road mapping that I mentioned earlier. This was our priority number 1 standard is how can we make batteries more circular? We started drafting this standard earlier this year. We actually took a faster approach of developing this standard and really utilizing our internal type stakeholders and leaning on those experts in this field. We do have a lot of safety battery standards, and we also have sustainability standards. So how can we merge the two and using our current expertise on doing that? So I don't know if I have to go into much market drivers. I think a lot of people know batteries are very important, especially lithium ion, and it takes a lot of resources to create these batteries. So with this standard, we wanted to really emphasize circularity in our current product portfolio. So where do we have the most standards and most in our product? It was in batteries, and obviously the environmental pressures of creating this type of standard was a huge need. So this was our priority number 1. So just quickly on the scope of the standard is what is in the scope. It's not just for EVs. We didn't want to limit to EVs. We wanted to include those medium type batteries to the large batteries. So for example, the electric vehicles, as well as energy storage systems, batteries for like e-mobility, e-scooters, e-bikes, also outdoor power tool equipment, so the electric power tool equipment, more the commercial size that actually do have big batteries, and emergency power backups. What the standard doesn't include is the the primary non-rechargeable batteries, as well as small portable batteries. Not that they're not important, we just have currently other standards that do look at sustainability for mobile phones, for example, and we're also working on a standard for electric products that incorporate laptops. So it's just a different view. This standard is more concentrated on those bigger commercial size batteries. And as well as we do not go into too much detail with the safety aspects. Safety 100% is important, but we do point to our current other safety standards that, we currently have in our UL portfolio. So with that, I am going to quickly go on to this next segue is our clean energy value chain. So another standard that we're working on is a circular economy standard for more of the clean energy value chain. Currently, the battery standard, UL 3600, which is at preliminary review, is more focused on that electrified transportation, just the battery aspect. But what about circular economy looking to design for sustainability and ensuring that the materials chosen are in more of a sustainable matter? So the first standard is still supporting Pillar 1 with circular economy and looking at our clean energy generation, so solar panels, wind turbines, and as well as more concentration on circular economy of personal e-mobility. So more on the components of the bike itself. The battery would point to UL 3601. And then our second standard that we're working on, which would support the Pillar 2 I mentioned on building for resilience. So this standard is really focusing on a climate risk management perspective, as well as designing for these extreme weather events. For example, this standard will look at solar panels, wind turbines, and energy storage systems. So with weather and climate change adaptation that is occurring more frequently, depending on where you are in the globe, I feel like everyone is getting affected, that you might have these extreme wind events, or hurricane feels like they're moving further up north. I'm from Canada, so I even feel like we're getting these hurricane type winds that did not happen 10, 15 years ago. So how can we have a standard that will focus on evaluating where these wind farms, where these solar panel, where these PV farms will go? How can we ensure that if these climate change adaptation or predictions of these extreme wind events or heavy snow loads, how can we generate a standard that can point and make sure that the risk management is looked at and little mitigations can ensure that you're building for this resilience? For example, for PVs, maybe it needs better tethering, or maybe a dual tethering method. If there was extreme winds, then it wouldn't just rip them right off. And then also looking at energy storage systems, with increasing floodings, can we ensure that, whatever they're encased in, or warehouse, wherever it might be, that can predict those floodings and ensure that those risks are looked at and mitigation is there to happen. So for my last pillar that I mentioned earlier is the safety. So sustainable smart cities, I want to look at specifically the data, security, and reliability. So 3 standards that I did want to highlight are from an adjacent horizontal program, which is SAPAR, which is very similar to sustainability. We're looking at implementing our current requirements of sustainability and software in current UL products. So first is UL 4600, which is the standard for autonomous products. So this is on its 3rd edition, but really looking for the safety and the valuation of those autonomous products and ensuring that they're operating correctly. The second is cybersecurity, which is UL 2900, which is the first, it's only one part of many series. And then the third is 3300, is the safety of robotics. So this actually was just published and new proposals are already coming in. But these 3 standards also support and encourage the use of international standards like ISO to ensure the safety of products and data integrity, which ensure smart technologies are reliable and protected. So with these 3 pillars, resilience, climate, or circular economy, resilience, and safety, support sustainable smart cities. But what is next? I've been hearing a very important trend is, there's a lot of standards out there, but how can we get them in regulations and policies and make sure that they're used? So in my opinion, what is going to be the forefront is collaboration, not just collaboration on one SDO front to the government, but in my opinion, it's collaboration amongst a lot of, or hopefully all of the standards development organizations, and conjoining messaging on advancing the importance of standards in regulations and policies. So with part of that messaging is really coming to my next segue is upcoming events. So with these 3 upcoming events and initiatives that I will be a part of is, for example, at COP29, where I'll be in a couple weeks, we have partnered with ISO and IEC on a standards pavilion. So that standards pavilion is in the blue zone for anyone that is familiar with the COP events, which we are working currently on messaging of as SDOs of how can we ensure the the pickup or the mention of even standards and regulations and policy at the government level. So with that pavilion, we'll be there for a couple weeks, and we're really ensuring that we have that conjoined messaging and collaboration and really setting the stage if we do this next year at COP30. Another initiative is happening the same week. It's a very busy week for UL Standards and Engagement, is World Standards Week, which is hosted by ANSI, the American National Standards Institute. They are actually hosting a couple days segment on just sustainability. So part of my team will be there on the ground looking to further collaborate with other individuals from other SDOs on the same type of messaging as how can we collaborate together on especially the sustainability front, and looking at how to encourage the use of standards in government and regulations. And also I did want to mention, because obviously we're at a City Smart City program, is our sister organization, UL Research Institute, has partnered with Discovery E on the Student Future City program. So with that collaboration, they've reached out to us, UL Standards and Engagement, and are providing this event around a waste-free city, so a very circular city, but the students have to design the city just based on our UL sustainability and safety standards. So really utilizing this in a practical example that the students will be designing, and they will be showcasing and voting on it for next year. So just about done. I know I'm a little over. If you are at any of these events or this week, by all means, watch out for myself or my team. Please reach out. We're happy to always discuss UL Standards Engagement, what sustainability standards are, and any future potential collaborations. So with that, I will leave you and answer any questions in the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Caitlin. That's great. Thank you so much, Caitlin. That's fascinating to hear. And your work on circularity is really world leading, and I think it's something we really need to all get behind so that we're reusing rather than wasting materials. And thank you also for being a sponsor for today. So ULSE, along with our next speaker from Trasos, are sponsors of today. So without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. M to the stage. And Professor Maurizio Bragagni, OBE, CEO of Trasos Limited. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I got 4 daughters, and I have to tell you that I got more titles than daughters. So it's a quite an issue. So first, thank you for the introduction. And I try to be, as you can listen from my accent, I'm coming from London. 2,000 years ago, we founded London. Then we're coming back. So I want to talk about smart city. What is a smart city? Well, let's do it in this way. Like, smart city is like an old man, or an old person, sorry, with a proper suit, with the proper fashion elements, with some new elements like shoes that you need to be smart, but then with a watch. A watch that can tell to my wife in this moment what is going to happen to me, that control my beat, that control my everything, basically, how much I sleep or what I sleep. And that is what a smart city is. You have always to remember that the city they are always building, and in particular in countries like UK and Italy and all Europe, the city is something that exists for, in some cases, more than 2,000 years. Even Boudica destroyed London when we built it, but basically it's more than 1,700. It means that a smart city, you need to have technology to adapt to an original suit, to an original idea that you have. And sometimes you can adapt, sometimes you can't. And why I told you that? I told you that because you have to I'm always going to make some example about myself so that you can remember this, at least this conversation. So smart city, what it is? It is the possibility to have immediately of data. The immediacy of data is the most important element. And through this data, to build a memory, to build a number of data in which people can take a decision. The majority of our decision, whatever we say, even in business, they are a gut decision. They are not based driven by data. Everyone talking about, I do that and do the other. No, the majority of our decision, even today, they are driven by gut. Smart city means to have data that they are continuously collect by all the elements, by Google, by your Apple Watch, or whatever you're using, by your telephone, by the use of the power, the energy, by the meter marking, by all the elements that you put all together. And those data, they are basically telecommunication data with energy, all together. These two elements together, they are inside of the city and help to collect information. And to collect information is so important for, as we have just mentioned, the speaker before me, for the sort of circular economy. More information you have, more energy you have to, less energy you need to use it. Less energy you need to use it in one location or in another location. So, and that is the importance of the 5G and all the telecommunication technology. But also, it's very important, the power, the energy. And the cables, so my company Tratus produced the cables. And if you go back to a previous era before Edison, we consider the inventor of the cables. Let's say Edison that invented the bulbs and then invented the system to connect those bulbs. That means the electricity system, like Apple basically with the Apple system or Apple Store. So if you go back to that period, our industry is been created in the end of the 18th century, beginning of the 19th century. And cables is everything. It's behind of all your part of your life. Now I have this fantastic watch that is giving communication to my mobile phone through wireless. But this wireless, sooner or later, they go to a cable that go to another cable that connect one computer to another computer. 95% of the telecommunication is under the water. And because that is how continents has been connected. That is the reason why, one of the major reasons because Scotland will never be independent by United Kingdom, it's because here there is the submarine, the nuclear submarine on defend the access to the Russian submarine that they are in Russia, they are in Scotland. And why so important that they defend the access to the North Sea or to the ocean? For the simple reason that all the cables that connect Europe, Africa, Middle East, they pass through Scotland. All the submarine cable, they pass through that coast. And so as soon as the nuclear submarine from Russia, they are moving from their position to try to access to the Atlantic Ocean, the British submarine immediately react and to position themselves in front. And that is story. So all the communication, they are through cables under the water. And that is, that is what brings as the importance of a standard. The importance of the standard in our sector is so important that if the cable cannot communicate one to the others, means that one nation cannot communicate with another nation. Means that your message that is going in the fiber optic, at a certain point is going to stop to a border and need to be translated to go to the other border. But because the international standard and because the standard, the possibility of that is that the communication energy pass through one way to another, can be sold through France, to England, through the generator, whatever, through the cables everywhere because we have a standard. So the standard is so important in some elements that they also help to build a smart city and help our life. What I want to mention is that standard, a lot of time is in contradiction with innovation. I'm from a cable industry, so because I produce under a standard, I cannot have a patent. I can innovate, I can create innovation, but as soon that I sell it, if I patent, I cannot sell it. Because my clients, British Telecom, National Grid, railways, they do not buy a product that is under patent. They want a competition. They want a standard. They want somebody that they can supply to others. And that is the question that I have for you. The question that I have for you is why we still to have, if you have in your experience in any city where you live, I'm sure that you have done the same experience that I do it. One day the road is being closed because they are digging to put a gas pipeline. The next day, the same road is closed because they are installing an energy cables. And then in 15 days, they've been stopped again because they are installing a water pipeline. And then in a month's time, they are stopping the same road, they dig in the same road, and they create more pollution, if you want, without respect because they are installing a telecommunication cable. The major reason is because those industries being created on the 18th century, they are coming from different technology. Those technology, they were incompatible with one to the other. I make an example only. Telecommunication in the old past was coming from a cable that was a copper cable and was a signal cables. A signal cables with a signal that was your communication, your voice, cannot stay close to electrical cables that was bringing energy to your city because these two elements, they were one in contradiction with the others. There was an electromagnetic field, okay? For that reason, in the road, there is one lane where you have to put a cable with energy and the other where you need to put a cable with a certain distance that is normally half a meter, where you need to put the telecommunication cables. But now, the technology changed. Now we have a fiber optic. We don't use anymore to transfer data or your voice in telecommunication through an electrical way, like this, but through light. So nowadays, a power cable, a submarine power cable, a big submarine power cable, inside of that, there is a fiber optic. And fiber optic is not have any interference with the energy or the magnetic field that the energy cable produces. So what that means is that why we still to dig the same road twice when technology is being changed? Because standard has not changed. For the simple reason that there is two different standards with two different risk assessment, with two different environmental risk assessment, with two different evaluation, two different companies, two different legislators. Even in UK, we have Ofcom and Ofgem. One is for the energy and the other is for the telecommunication. So because we have, even here, we have HIC for electrical committee, and we have E2 for the fiber optic. So we have a big difference in the industry. That was one reason in the past, because there were two technologies that were not able to combine together, but not anymore now. And that is what has been created a massive cost. So I'm going to finish very fast that just to give you, in the cable industry, you can have a lot of innovation that helps smart cities, help everyone. That is what we try to do it. As I told you, the most important thing is that unfortunately, because we are not a commodity, but we are an industry that needs to provide an alternative product, so we cannot patent that product. So it means that all our technology is available and free available to everyone immediately after that we have to produce. So for that reason, I just want to thank all of you. I think that is more than enough. to say thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. M. And I remember visiting a beach, I think it was down in Cornwall, where I came across this little hut with all these cables in it that said South Africa, India. Amazing place. There was a top secret in the war, but absolutely right that cables are so important to us all. But now this combination of, why can't we mix the two, fibres and power? And we should be. So to my next speaker now, so Mr. Terafumi Takada, Senior Manager, Digital Co-Creation, Digital Innovation Department at NTT, Urban Solutions Corporation from Japan. Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a great honor for me to be here today and explain our efforts in such a wonderful setting. I would like to sincerely thank BSI and EC for giving me such an exciting opportunity. Today, I'd like to explain what it means for smart city to be sustainable. I hope our efforts will provide you with some insights. Now let me introduce myself. I am Terafumi Takada. I entered NTT in 1992, and my previous job is sales director for Japanese government, and my current job, I am responsible for installing and managing digital to our town, smart city. And maybe many of you know about NTT, but NTT is a flagship telecommunication company in Japan, and it was established in 1870, and it has a long history, about 150 years. And very long history like BSI. And we are not only a pioneer of telecommunication, but also an innovator, which provides latest technologies like AI and have many data centers all over the world. And now NTT Group has become one of the largest telecommunication companies in the world, which has about 1,000 consolidated subsidiaries with over 300,000 employees in the world. And NTT Urban Solutions, which I am working for, was established in 2019. Its business is real estate business and developing smart city by using ICT. And we can, its business is, the business is a new business area for NTT Group. And this is the example of our development. Our development has two main characteristics. And firstly, we place importance the unique qualities of each city when we develop. This is a Shinpukan in Kyoto City. It is complex facility which includes hotel, retail, cinema, and we contain famous historical buildings originally. If you have a plan to visit Japan or Kyoto City, please feel free to contact me, and I will planning your travel. And please stay in our hotel. I promise you a wonderful travel in Kyoto City. And the next characteristic of our development is utilizing digital in our development and operation. We can do it because we have been an innovator for a long time, but we think just introducing digital technologies is not enough. So when we combine this urban development with digital technologies, we have three concepts, important three concepts. The first, human-centric. Lately, in Japan, many companies say this concept, but we think it's very important. The second concept is continuously growing town. We think the operation after development, after construction, is very important, and we can realize the continuously growing town by using ICT and by our operation. And the third concept is digital is just a means to support and realize the vision of the town. Digital is not a goal, but a means to realize the vision of the town. And this is overview Smart City ISO, ISO 37106. This ISO has 4 key concepts: having a clear vision, and citizen-centric, and utilizing digital, and being open and collaborative. These key concepts perfectly matched our important concepts, so that's why we decided to get this certification, Smart City ISO. And we achieved level 4 in 2023 as the second case in the world. And we would like to achieve level 5 next year. We are now preparing. And this is our town in Nagoya City, which we got ISO here. We are realizing our important concept in this town. And for example, we offer shared lounge or rooftop terrace so that workers in our town can choose the places where to work according to their job, according to their current feelings. And this is the first concept, human-centric. We make vision and design what value to provide, and to whom, and by what means. For example, we have a vision to make workers feel stress-free, comfortable, or well-being. So we offer a workers' lounge and a rooftop terrace, as I mentioned before. And we also provide application for workers. And this is the second concept, continuously growing town. We think it is very important for us to, and for a sustainable smart city. We make vision and define the status of goal and set KPIs, and then monitor them. It is very simple and maybe obvious and necessary for business, but it is also difficult, very difficult for many towns, for many cities to continue them. And so we think our effort is very valuable for us and for many stakeholders. This is a sample of KPI monitoring, and we are collecting many feedbacks through our application, and many times, about 10 to 20 times per year, and we achieved, we place in highest priority on satisfaction degree. We achieved 92%, which target is 80%. And so we get higher achievement. And other KPI, we achieve positive results by our efforts and our improving by many feedbacks. And this is a third concept, digital as a support, not a goal. We are providing AI camera and security robot. We are providing security service by using AI camera and security robot. In addition, we are using many sensors and applications so that workers can grasp crowd level before they go lounge or sky terrace, and also smoking area. And we have been trying many POCs, pilot. For example, we can achieve 30% reduction of energy consumption by using AI air conditioner. And we also try food waste reduction or delivery robots. But as I mentioned before, digital is not a goal, but a means to realize the vision of the town. And that's all. That's always in our hearts. This is the final message. I talked about our important three concepts, but I think the second concept, continuously growing town, is most important for sustainable smart city. Because in Japan, many towns are declining in value after opening the town or construction. So we should, and in addition, I think the installation of latest technologies is meaningless if they are not used. So I would like to emphasize the importance of feedback. No matter how wonderful ICT is, it is meaningless if users do not feel the value. So it is important not only to decide vision and provide good services, but also to constantly get users' feedback, collect users' feedback, and improve our town by their feedback. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Takada-san, and that was really enlightening, and I'm sure when we come to the panel we can explore a little further about your accreditation of ISO 37106 up to 4 and how you aim to get to 5, because I think we could all learn from that as a leading organisation and provider to cities. So next I would like to invite to the stage Dr. Jackie Taylor, CEO of Flying Binary and independent smart city expert. Thank you, Jackie. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. So
Back into presentation mode.
yeah, so you want to, and he's going to click that forward.
Yeah, it's not going into presentation mode down
No,
here.
it's not.
Should we replug it?
Yeah, we're going to have to. Apologies, I'm visually disabled, so this is more complicated. So I think if I just reconnect the dongle, actually, see if it will reintroduce it. I think it just went to sleep.
What are you seeing, John?
Yeah, what you're seeing, because I'm...
It's not in presentation mode on there.
No.
Yeah, that's what we're hitting. Yeah, it's not responding.
Okay, I think it's just gone to sleep, so I need to just restart.
Yeah.
We were working on a theory that it would just stay there, and it didn't.
Should we restart?
Yeah, I'm going to have to, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
I've got that coming up, haven't I?
Might need to turn off and turn on again.
Shouldn't be. Let me just...
Oh yeah, close that down. Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to just do a full restart, I think. Aha. No, just bear with me a sec.
Yeah.
Just need to enable it.
Should have it now. Oh,
No, that's, I think that's fine.
have you got
John,
it
do
now,
you
John?
see that?
There we go.
Do you
got it
see
now.
that, John?
Yeah, it's got it. You're
got
yeah,
it.
so-
Thank you. Thanks for your patience there. Good afternoon. It's absolutely delightful to be back here with you all today, but also in this beautiful city. A huge favourite of mine. I love the fact that I get to speak here regularly. I'm here to share the work I've been doing to not just articulate, but create standards and policy and deploy on the industrial Internet of Things. Everything I say today is around Society 5.0, and my colleague from NTT will know about that. I've worked collaboratively with my Japanese colleagues to actually not just launch the concept, but deploy it. For obvious reasons, because I'm going to talk to you about cybersecurity, I'm not going to name any cities. So protection of the innocent, really. I'm not going to talk about specific projects. So the way I approach this to show the new way that we're looking at cybersecurity for cities is we've developed core principles that we're, from a UK point of view, have been on a roadmap for since 2017. So I'm going to condense that as much as possible. But personally, I have 29 years of scientific research on the impact of technology on our society. I always thank Sir Tim Berners-Lee, who inspired me on the 20th anniversary of the World Wide Web to do that now, Jackie. I'm still here. And that's formed the basis of smart cities work I've done over the last 10 years when the Minister for the Cabinet Office in the UK said, Jackie, I just need you to go to BSI for a month. So be careful of the invitations you get, but I have really enjoyed it. But first of all, I want to really talk about the mission we deliver on, because that actually underpins the research. So myself and my co-founder founded Flying Binary in 2009 because we decided that scientific research, it was time to commercialize it, put it out in the world, let other people use it. And that's what we were focused on doing until the 13th of November 2015, when Paris was attacked by terrorists. I came home from Brussels, having presented a blueprint. I was back 2 days later. We were a counter-terrorism company, and we're still that today. Obviously, that's the first and last time I'm going to mention that. And the industrial Internet of Things for Society 5.0 is actually, it's citizen-led. And it's really looking at the deep technologies that we build. And it's an engineering challenge. I'm actually an aerospace engineer, but it has a societal impact. So if you think of the way in which digital did things, if you turn it on its head and actually dive deeper, that's pretty much what we do. So far, we've positively impacted over half the world's population with the work that we do. And since April 2020, when we were invited into the UN as high-level climate leaders, we've been working hard to deliver the race for zero. So sustainability is our key focus these days. We're very proud to be a GovTech 100 company. The fact that we don't have just one service that is credited to that's changed the UK government, but 27 different IoT services back in 2011, and the first cloud-first government was born. The last 2.5 years have been the most difficult we've ever done. We've done difficult things before. We've been on the front line of Ukraine, and we've been using our responsible technology to support 30 million citizens who are in a war zone. And I'm delighted to be back in the UK, having done what I've done in the UK, to bring that sustainable technology work to a global investment community. When I proved to them in 2023, you can raise sovereign wealth investment for war. And they're like, how do you do that, Jackie? I'm coming back, I'll let you know. So back in 2007, IBM and Cisco coined the term smart city. That wasn't, I was doing something completely different at that point. But it was a technology-first approach in 2014 when I joined the standardization agenda. And that's like, as a technologist, I knew that was wrong, but I had no idea what we need to do about it. And effectively, as standards makers, we have had endless arguments around what a smart city is. And really, it's physical, it's digital, it's a human system, it's in the built environment, it's sustainable, it's prosperous, it's inclusive, it's about citizens. That's if you look at the standards definition. And in 2018, a number of investigative journalists, I'm the founder of the data journalism industry, said, what is going on in smart cities? What is happening with the technology? And under the headline of the world's first smart cities are, I started to explain that technology should be the enabler, it's not the outcome, and that's where we were going wrong. 60% of our greenhouse gas emissions come from our global infrastructure. So repositioning this agenda to sustainable communities and climate neutral cities is a good initiative, but actually in 2024, it's not the one I'd recommend. So everything we've done in smart cities since we mobilized in arguably 2007, but since 2014, where we've tried to articulate what we're trying to do, it's about supply-led. What are cities doing? What's their focus? Where are what are they going to do next? But actually, when I started in the UN, I said that's the wrong thing to do. Society 5.0 says we should be citizen-led. So what about the demand-led focus alongside the supply? And effectively, as EU policy now, the 1.9 trillion European Green Deal, which we're about to rename, and there are lots of commissioners going to get busy with it, we're leading with citizen requirements. It's demand-led, that initiative. And Since 2017, when the UK Brexited from the EU, we've been pursuing a new cyber agenda that dovetails in with the sustainability work I've talked about. We changed our critical national infrastructure provision in the UK, and we're leading with a current focus of connected places. At the end of the day, if we can drive resilience, we can drive a future. Now, I've only got 3 minutes left. That's unbelievable, and I'm only halfway through. But I can't possibly explain it all to you. It's principle-based, which is a key thing for me. I've selected the core principles. It doesn't matter where I've worked in the world and what we've done about this. I've used them. And the rest of them, there's just not time. And so what I do when I go in to deploy the new roadmap for connected places is I create that cybersecurity approach, which is new to every city. It's a 3-step approach. Understand is the first focus. People are at the core of principles of that understand strategy. Focus on their roles, their responsibilities, their accountabilities, in order to understand how do we mitigate the impacts. Risk is the second core principle. Yes, I stand here as a cybersecurity expert, and I'm not talking about threats. That's a deliberate change. Because in the current geopolitical climate, mitigating threats is just not realistic. We can't do that anymore. But what we can is we can measure risk, we can prioritize, and we can agree a mitigation strategy. And we can say it can't be 100%, and that's the reality we live in today. Legal and regulatory principles, the work I've done across the world is trying to understand that patchwork of legal and regulatory pieces we can leverage. And it's a core focus. But data is an underpinning principle, and that's the piece we have to understand in order to unlock the data. And also, for the industrial Internet of Things, Society 5.0, there's additional requirements. Maybe it's your critical national infrastructure. Maybe it's health and safety. I don't know, but there's something around that. Design's the second piece of your connected places roadmap. It builds on that understanding set of principles I've outlined. It's zero trust based from a cybersecurity point of view, if that's possible. If it's not, what I do is do highest level of trust. Work with where we are, move on towards it. And designed to understand the impact of what compromising your connected place, your number of connected places, your connected places across a country. And basically design it to deter, disrupt hostile and criminal behavior. That's your focus. And scalable is another core principle that gets added into design. We have to design for scale, no more POCs. We have to anticipate that the demand for services in a connected place will be increasing. We have to design for the fact we'll need new services. Manage is the third focus for your connected places cyber roadmap. It builds on understanding, it builds on design. One of the core principles, though, is full life cycle approach, which is why I loved all the things that you talked about with circular economy. It's core to the new change. And manage the evolving requirements that a circular plan will need. New concept entirely, security-minded, move away from threat, look at risk, and actually take it to be a proportional and representative approach, because you can't cover the threat. It's an ecosystem. It's a multi-agency model, but it's beyond a service, it's beyond a department, it's beyond just a system. And then the other thing I would say is incident responses are another core principle. I'm nearly finished. Extending that across the entire ecosystem. If you prefer value chain, that might be another way of looking at it. But dynamic risk management settings, because you'll never know what a criminal, a terrorist will do tomorrow, so you have to be ready. And then regular testing, and I don't mean like a fire test, I mean a real test. You know, we, from a cybersecurity point of view of the UK, we do have real tests all the time because criminals do things that we don't expect and we've got to test. Take that sort of approach. And then just want to finish on the standards baseline. Essentially, what I have here is the basis of how we got to here. BSI PAS 103 that looks at the security framework, the data security framework, the original thoughts, has now become a fast-track standard with 16 new countries coming on board to this agenda. It's catchingly called ISO IEC, and that's a spelling mistake from me, 17917. I'll get that slide corrected before this distributed. And now what I'm presenting is the latest piece on this, which is the connected places. I've got no time to cover any more now, but a reminder that a connected places roadmap which delivers sustainability, resilience as an outcome, has 3 focuses: understand it, design it, manage it. I share all my work on LinkedIn. I'm an engineer inside of LinkedIn, and so I've included that on my slides. I'll make sure you've got a copy of the slides as well. But if I can support your work in any way to move us to resilience as an output for our smart cities, I'd love to be part of that. Just let me know. Thank you for listening. Do you want to click this now?
Yes, if you'd like to take a seat. Second from the end, that would be great.
Right, okay.
Is that okay for you
Well,
to make it over there?
Just near
Or
the
do you-
steps next to whoever's.
Okay,
Is
yeah,
that all
you
right?
can sit there. Right, could I invite up the speakers up to join me on the stage for the last panel session?
What do you want, huh?
In the order you spoke, that's fine. We can mix it up, that's fine.
Sorry, it's mixing it up.
Yeah. Thank you. We're also delighted to invite to the stage Russell Dalgleish, the founder of the Scottish Business Network, to represent some business needs and issues as well. So thank you. Let me just spark this up. 5-2, okay. How are we doing? Okay, so we've got 15 minutes or so. So I'm going to ask a question of each of the panelists and then open it to the floor as we were doing earlier. I'd like to start with Caitlin, as you kicked us off earlier, about ULSE's sustainable smart city pillars being focused on resilience and sustainability and safety. With a continued focus on climate change, how important is international collaboration on standards development?
It is very important, for sure. We are looking at collaborating, especially the sustainability program, since it's so new, on really looking at international type standards like ISO, IEC, also a lot of regulations coming out of the EU. So with those standards, which I did run out of a little bit of time, we are using and encouraging the use of those international standards as a basis and really expanding on the different points, especially looking at North America, global different points. So really wanting to further that collaboration, and as well as the first step is going to COP29 and partnering with ISO and IEC on that front and furthering our standards development and looking at different perspectives that you mentioned, even coming from a consumer manufacturer perspective, is can we combine certain areas? Is there need to have multiple different standards? Because I've been with standards for over 10 years. There's a lot, and it would be very nice from a consumer's perspective is how can we consolidate this to make it easier and not have duplicate standards? So more to come.
More collaboration around existing standards, perhaps, or combining, sharing, rather than proliferation of too many.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
excellent, thank you. Dr. M, sort of passing to you. How does Tratos ensure that its products meets the sustainability goals set by smart cities?
Well, that is it's a quite a very long answer. That, but well, I tell you in one evidence. Tratos is a family company, originated in Italy, but now we are in 9 countries and very deeply here in UK. So when we developed the new factory in Knowsley, we wanted also to develop a factory in Scotland, but we had some problem with with some issues with the previous government. So when we developed the factory in Knowsley in the Merseyside, we have a big oak in the middle. And so we have to build that, that factory, so we have to cut that oak that was probably 2,000 years old. And when you are coming from a family business like we are, I have my father, my uncle, and half of my board, I would say, no, we are not going to cut that oak. But on the same time, we have to build this huge factory, and we have to do something. So in the end, the oak was included inside of the factory. Basically, what's happened during it's quite common here in UK. That is what did Prince Albert did it when he created the first pavilion. That was in the 18th century, the first pavilion where there was the exhibition of all the best industry in the world. So we try to be at the top of the sustainability for 3 reasons. Because we live in our local community. So our local community, as the doctor has explained very well, it's the important thing. So we are part of the community. And because we are part of a community, we want to be on top of what we can give back to the community. All our factory, all our industry, not because there is a standard, but because we want it. We produce all our own energy by ourselves with solar panel or wind generation or water generation. And because we are coming from an industry that is very old, we recycle everything, because copper was, there is all a value over there, of course, but also because there was an industry that was created from the beginning to use material that we have to reuse.
Yeah.
And what is the big difference with the industry now and the industry in the past? It's that you build something because it needs to be ending soon. When we build something and we still have an industry which we have guaranteed the use of that product for more than 50 years. The modern industry, of any modern industry, that they don't have that. I don't say what is the brand, but what astonished me is my washing machine. I have a washing machine that I bought when I was married. I'm 50, I'm still young, but I was married more than 30 years ago. And still work in my old house in Italy. And then since we are moving UK, that is more than 20 years, we have changed 5 washing machines on the same period that the other one is still working. So we are focused to be totally compliant with standard in particular with sustainability, a circular economy. But the reason is a cultural reason more than any other.
Okay, well, that's really interesting. Thank you. Passing on to Dr. Takada. So what is NTT's human-centric vision to achieve the level 5 certification that you spoke about of ISO 37106 as a visionary city? Sort of what priority actions are you focused on to achieve that attainment of level 5?
Our focus point to achieve level 5 is to increase stakeholders' participation to improving the town, because it is difficult for many Japanese towns to create or organize community. So we will try it. And we also want to make many stakeholders to join our activity and enjoy. Because if they don't enjoy to participate, it isn't sustainable. So we want to many stakeholders enjoy our town or activity.
Fantastic.
That's our priority.
That's a really good point, to get that citizen buy-in. And you're aiming to achieve this next year, so clearly you're already doing some of this engagement to help people enjoy what they're doing. Yeah. Okay. Russell, if I could come to you, please. So with regards to consumers, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges faced by them, and what should be the focus for our local authorities, and this is in the smart city context?
I think that's a superb question, because at the end of the day, what we are trying to do together is to improve the life of our citizens. We think about citizens as being users based within cities or voters within a country. But actually it's about how do we take people on this journey that we all must go on, whereby we're going to see our cities and our citizens transformed by technology. Mm-hmm. Now within Scotland, we've seen great success with an initiative called CivTech. And the approach we've taken to engage with citizens is not to start with the solution, but start with the problem. We define the problem as a challenge, and then go out to innovators around the world to see what solutions they can devise that would address that challenge. And it's proved fantastically successful, because not only have we seen the innovation deliver, but we've also seen it deploy, which is a really hard thing to do, as we all know within our cities. And it's been really interesting being here today. This is the first time I've attended this event. And it's almost like being at a UN event. We have separate rooms with a number of different languages all being spoken. And what I witness is collaboration. This is collaboration to arrive at a consensus of thought, which we define within a standard. And that standard, then for the business community, allows us to deploy our innovation, because we can ensure compliance. We can ensure the fact that systems can speak to each other. So it's been it's an amazing experience being here today, and thank you for the invitation to attend.
Thank you, Russell. Could we pass the microphone up to Jackie, please? So Jackie, you spoke about smart cities relying heavily on data, which is really sort of core, and all that data collection. So what are the best practices for cities to balance the needs for data and citizen privacy?
Yeah, and it's a friction, let's be honest about it. It's difficult to do, and it differs where you are in the world, and it differs because civic leaders who normally curate and orchestrate this don't have overall say, because they sit within a political cycle. And so civic leaders have a 25-year horizon for doing what you've just asked, and political leaders might have a 4 or 5-year horizon. So it's always a negotiation. My societal research on technology and the impact that enablement brings has been centered around Gen Z, 31 to 21, Gen Alpha, 20 to 10, and Gen Beta, 9 and under. My youngest innovator is 3 years old. And so what that brings is a new era of, it's not so much a collaboration, and if it's Gen Alpha or Gen Beta, it's not a participation, because they will not negotiate. This agenda for sustainability that is underpinned by data, it'll be achieved. My youngest millionaire is 11, and basically if we don't do it, they'll do it for us and they'll do it to us. And so the reason for fast-tracking that data governance and infrastructure standard was because many parts of the world hadn't taken a first step. Many cities had not taken a first step. 22,000 mayors in Europe helped me get to there. 95,000 mayors in Europe have got to do it now. And so actually getting that knowledge out there of it's achievable, cities are doing it, but it's actually a play to underpin all of your ambitions as a civic leader, as a political leader, as a citizen, as our young innovators. You know, my company's an SME. We were one of the original 250 in the country, in the UK. There's now 5.5 million of us. And it's a bow wave, and we're about to lift again. So really, you don't have to be a data expert, but if you're in a smart city and you're not leveraging that, you're not understanding how it curates that journey that you spoke about, I think that that's something that will leave not just the city behind, the citizens behind, but it'll leave businesses behind. So for me, it's vital now. We embrace this now. I've got 25 nations in Africa. They are all teaching me a completely different lesson around data. What I'm learning in Tanzania will not do for me in Nigeria. And that's because 70% of the African nations, they're under 30. The population's under 30. Yeah. So that is the new reality I've talked about today, is acting out in those 25 African nations. And so they will get there quicker than we do for sustainability. They will build those resilient cities because actually they won't negotiate anything else. So harnessing data, if you're not somebody that does data like me, find somebody that does. I find the local authorities in the UK specifically are already bought into this, but may need help curating it forward. But I'll just give one example because I think making it real often works. I'm one of the top 100 angel funders in Europe. We meet every year since 2009. We met in June 23, and I put forward what I've put forward today. And there were lots of people that folded their arms. So I thought that's very interesting. But a bunch of us didn't. And so what I said was, 1 year from now, June 24, we'll come back and report progress. June 23, 0 assets under management. We had nothing, no investment made or anything. June 24, $1 billion assets under management. Do you think the rest of the 100 are following us now? Yes. So sometimes it's about making the case with your actual audience. Yeah. And data is always the evidence you need to shift the needle.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Right, we've got time for just one question from the floor. Any questions? Who would like to speak? Otherwise, I'm going to pass over and finish the panel. Well, can we thank the panel in the traditional manner for their time? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Don't move, Peter.
Okay.
Don't move, panel. Don't move. I'm very keen that we finish on time, and I always like an audience, so thank you for sitting here in front of me.
A captive audience.
I'm Scott Steedman, Director General Standards at BSI, and I've been in and out. I was delighted to be here to open this event this morning, and I wanted to close it again this afternoon. And just to say, listening to that panel, you have raised all of those issues that I wanted to summarize just now, so thank you for that. I wanted perhaps to reflect on our role in this and our purpose in setting up these conferences today, tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday, in parallel with the great work of the International Electrotechnical Commission, the technical committees that are meeting downstairs and around Edinburgh this week. Over 1,000 delegates have come from all over the world, including many of you, to participate in those activities. And the administrators, like me, will hold our official governance meetings during the week as well. But when I thought of the idea, perhaps a particularly Scottish idea, of opening up the meeting to engage with the local community, with the local business leaders, with you, Russell, with the academics from Heriot-Watt and Edinburgh and Strathclyde and Glasgow and Stirling and Dundee and all the great universities in Scotland, and to engage with the public. I remember as a schoolboy going to meetings where everybody was much taller than I was, my shorts, you know, but that's the way it was in Edinburgh, that you had this great flattening of society and the general public mixed in with a lot of the thinking that was going on. And I wanted to refresh that idea with these conferences today. So I particularly thank the panelists for that. BSI is appointed as the national standards body for the UK. We work alongside the National Physical Laboratory, which fulfills the metrological function, the measurement function, and the United Kingdom Accreditation Service that oversees the certification activities of that sector in the UK. So we're the kind of invisible middle layer. And I feel strongly that the role of BSI is to provide that platform, Peter, thank you for your moderation today, that platform for people to discuss and debate, to collaborate, as you said a minute ago, in coming up with the right solutions. And it's fascinating that the IEC, the International Electrotechnical Commission, that we are here and privileged to host this week in the UK, first time for 35 years, really bridges from that world of the second industrial revolution to Jackie's flying binary and digital future. It's extraordinary. Lord Kelvin was the first president of the IEC in 1906, the same year he was president of the Royal Society of Edinburgh. And as we know, when Kelvin started his work, they were discussing the terminology of energy and electricity. I mean, they were that fundamental. And he handed on to a man called Charles Lemaistre, who was an electrical engineer, who was born in Jersey, brought up in the UK, and he became the first Secretary General of the IEC. And what is extraordinary about Charles Lemaistre is that he not only held my job from 1916 to 1942, but that he was Secretary General of the IEC from 1906 to 1953. And he brought in this fundamental idea we've been talking about the idea that it's a democratic conversation. It's a conversation, one country, one vote. They're all here this week. One country, one vote. All people shall be represented in this conversation about what good looks like for industry. And he had this great quote, which, Russell, you prompted me to look up again, that standardization is no more and no less than proper coordination. So here we are, and there you were, Caitlin and Maurizio, my dear friend, talking about this ambition that these issues will be addressed, they'll be solved through coordination and through discussion. And it's our role, I feel very strongly, in this kind of conversation on the future of cities, that we are coordinating and enabling the consumers, the public, the residents, not to be fearful of new technology, but to be aware of what is coming down the pipeline, and that we can build a governance structure that is respectful of their input, that protects them and enables them and unlocks their potential. That word integration that we heard so strongly at the beginning of the day, and all of the digital inclusion, those journeys that we heard from other cities, the integration of the work in Singapore, which I was privileged to see earlier in the year, and in Shanghai, where I was astonished after the pandemic to see the electrification that had taken place during those lost years. So I feel really excited about this, and I'm very grateful to all of you, particularly to our fabulous sponsors, to you, Maurizio, to Tratos, to you, Caitlin, to UL, and the contribution that you've brought to NTT. Thank you, Nakana-san, for your input to support this conversation. So this, I hope, will be just the beginning of a journey for all of us this week and beyond, as we take the role of consensus building to a new level to engage the public with the digital transformation. Thank you all very much for coming, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.